If you're healing from trauma, you've got to give yourself a break. You need a safe place to heal. I know that's what ended up working for me. I kept finding myself triggered at work. I had spent almost 30 years in prison. I had spent just over 27 years in prison. And prison is it's always a potentially violent place, and sometimes it's a very violent place. So I had fight or flight anxiety, that I just carried around with me, or easily triggered. Like, does that mean this? And so I would, finding myself feeling like I'm in a life or death situation over the slightest thing, over things like disrespect, subtle disrespect felt like life or death, because that's how it was when I did, when I was inside. So getting out, I find those things coming up at work, and I had two incidences, right off the bat where I threatened people, and then I had two incidences where I beat people up at work, and so I basically lost three jobs because of, it seemed like misbehavior, but really I'm in a state of fight or flight anxiety, and I'm reacting to what's going on inside me, not what's going on necessarily out here. And so what it was that work was an unsafe, toxic environment, where, they weren't people, these people aren't trained out here to deal with, tiptoe around my traumas or walk on eggshells or any of that. They're, and so it wasn't intentional, but I was triggered, and I reacted in certain ways too. I didn't like being disrespected. I didn't like people telling me, someone told me to shut up and I did something crazy. Someone said, just do it, and I reacted. Another time somebody got in my face and I got them out of my face with violence, and another time, et cetera, et cetera. And so I ended up finding a safe work environment for me. It took a whole lot of temp work, a couple of other jobs that didn't work out, and then ended up being I ended up getting in an apprenticeship program, and I think the bar being set a little higher at work is what made it a safe environment. That everybody there is in a union, so there's a brotherhood. Whatever it is, it's a safer place. I haven't had anybody disrespected me. I haven't had anybody I haven't had anything crazy like that happen. So I haven't had any interactions like that at work. That's important. I've worked there over a year, and so it hasn't happened. I don't foresee it happening. And that was one thing. Another thing, even while I was working in those other places, I had already made my home a safe place. I got me a studio apartment, and I'm on parole, and I didn't have anything. I didn't have anybody over. I just used that as a place for me to rebuild and regroup. And it was also like, it was in so many ways. I was doing really hard work, and I needed a place to just decompress and unwind in between, in the night, in my to get ready for work the next day. And so it was a place where, I did hot baths. I had a bathtub, hot Epsom salt baths, stuff like that. So it was a safe place. I used to keep my AC on high, and I would sleep. I had footy pajamas, and may sound crazy, I had a stuffed animal, and but so I'd be bundled up in there in a bunch of blankets, and with my footy pajamas on and my little stuffed animal, and I'd be listening to soft music, and that was healing for me. I lived there 2 years, and that before I ended up, me and my wife got this place, but I lived there for 2 years during this healing process, but it was a safe place. Another safe place was my 12-step recovery group, And yeah, I wish it was a trauma healing group, but it's not. It's out. It was a 12-step recovery group that I've been going to for help with in my drug addiction and alcoholism, this is a group of people who are either finding recovery or have found it and have had it for a long time, and just the nature of them trying to help me get over these things, and me going there and being honest about my struggles and my difficulties, it became a safe place. And I go 3 times a week. I go 3 times a week there, and I have another group. I went to this morning. It's a men's group, and it's the same thing, safe place. And so between that, my home, my work, I'm literally doing hopscotch from safe place to safe place. I go anywhere, and I feel uncomfortable. I'm not staying. I only go to places because I realize that everything that I've been through, I'm literally, so trauma is a wound, and I'm carrying that wound with me, and I can get triggered, and I can get triggered and I can react, and so I don't do that. So safety first. Safe places are very important. And if you like this content, please subscribe, and look forward to sharing more trauma healing solutions with you. Thank you.